Morning, everybody. Who moves the cameras in the studio when we're not here?
I don't know. We need to clean the camera. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to clean the lens. There we go. Okay.
Right on. So we're just wait a couple minutes before we get going.
Are we early?
Yeah, we're early.
Oh, we shouldn't go early on Facebook.
Well, we're ready.
All right.
Nothing worse than when people go live on Facebook. They go, how do you operate this thing? How do you get this thing working?
Or make the replay wait till people stay. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You're neuro-linguistically challenged. Hi, Blair. Hi, Kathy. Hi, AJ.
Zephalinda.
Hi, Zephalinda. Hey, Larry.
All right. Let's do this.
What are we going to do today?
I don't know.
You don't know? No?
Following your lead today, maybe.
You're following my lead. That's a dangerous thing. Well, there has to be a leader everywhere. So today we're going to do some of the regular stuff. We're going to do the intro. We're going to talk about managing emotional states. And then we're going to switch into a topic called the new 9 to 5. And we've got a really special guest with us who's hosting an international conference. And so we'll bring AJ on at that time. And so we're really looking forward to that. And I think that it's really important to sort of connect to and extend the conversation beyond our small group of people, beyond who we are here. And I notice I have a dark side and a bright side. Yeah, pull it closer. Yeah, we can't turn off the sun. Wow. No, still not.
You're good.
I went? Okay.
Perfect up here.
Right on. The lighting guy isn't in today. Where's the lighting guy today? Right on. So let's start with a little bit of state management. The best way to break an emotional state is to change the person from where they are kinesthetically into another modality, either auditory and visual. And moving someone from a kinesthetic state is good, but to auditory is good, but moving them to visual is better. So if you can get someone to move from being in a kinesthetic state to being in a visual, where they're looking and seeing intensely, that'll break the emotional state. And the tool we like to use is the billboard. So we imagine looking up, which is our visual quadrant. So we look up and we see our mobile number on a billboard. So if everybody would just look up and imagine that your mobile number is on a billboard in front of you. You look up and then notice, hey Trish, and then notice what color are your numbers and what color is the background on your billboard. Now, some of you are really creative, so you're going to have really funky numbers on really funky backboards. That's really good. And now as you see your telephone number up there, I want you to read the last 4 numbers backwards. You can read them out loud, you can read, and in the text, when you bring your eyes back down, you can text us a message about what the colors were. I'm interested, right? So now when you're looking up and you see your mobile number on the billboard and you've read it backwards, you're looking up. You might as well stay looking up. And I want you to focus on a spot. Pick a spot and focus on it and hold your head and eyes steady. And as you do that, I want you to see everything in front of you starts to come into clarity. Even though you're holding your head and eyes steady, you can see things to the left and the right, slightly above you and slightly below you, even though you're staring straight ahead. And as you do that, looking straight ahead, I want you to notice all the sounds around you. Of course, you can hear the sounds of my voice over the internet. You might hear the sounds of cars outside. Who knows what you might hear? You might hear children in the background. You might hear a pet. And as you see and hear everything in your now, I want you to notice what you're feeling. Feel the clothes on your body. Feel the temperature of the room. Feel the surface you're sitting on. Whether you're sitting on the seat or the floor, just notice the surface you're sitting on. And as you do that, you're in what Eckhart Tolle would describe as the now. You're in the moment, seeing, hearing, and feeling everything in this moment. And if you do that, stay there long enough, you'll notice that your respiration, your breathing rate starts to slow down, and your breathing drops from your chest and into your belly, into your diaphragm. Now, if you're really in tune with your body, you'll notice your pulse is slowing down as well. So we've gone from a negative emotional state, we broke the state with your telephone number on the billboard, reading it backwards, and now we've gone into a very calm state. And so those of you who have been with us since the beginning of our COVID presentations, you'll know how to create a resource anchor by creating a point on your hand that you touch, and that's neurologically linked to positive emotion. So if those of you who have anchor, if you fire your anchor right now, you'll go from that calm state. I just did it to myself. You'll go from that calm state into that elevated, happy place. Now, for those of you who don't have an anchor, if you're pet lovers, if you're animal lovers, think of a puppy or a kitten. If you love puppies, think about a puppy or a kitten and notice how you light up. If you have a favorite activity of running and yoga, and think about some time when you're just at the best of your game, think about that, and you'll notice that your mood is elevated. And so that's a 4-step method from going from a negative state. You break the state using the visual quadrant, seeing your numbers. Then you go to a calm state using seeing, hearing, and feeling in the moment. Then go to a resource anchor and move to a powerful, resourceful state. And again, the more you do that, the more it becomes your pattern of behavior. If you do that several times a day, whenever you go into an inappropriate, unwarranted emotion, that sequence will start to initiate all on its own. And if those of you who are interested, I mentioned before, read Lisa Feldman Barrett's book, How Emotions Are Made. Then the last piece that we start with every time is taking care of yourself. Now, there's lots of ways to take care of yourself: exercise, diet, nutrition. And there is a body of knowledge growing, whether you watch Joe Dispenza do a Kundalini type breathing, or if you watch Wim Hof do the Wim Hof method. The body of knowledge around breathing techniques as being vital for your health is growing. So I would encourage you to do some sort of breathing technique every day. And I'm a real fan of Wim Hof's. It's been researched, it's been proven. When you do Wim Hof, you lower your inflammation, you lower your stress, you boost your immune system, you produce more white blood cells, you produce more interleukin 10. It's just a brilliant thing to do. So there you go. That's our review of how to break negative emotional states, go to positive emotional states, and a little tip about how to be super healthy. Super healthy. How was that?
That was good.
Was it? All right.
Okay, so we spoke last week about the change and how change affects us neurologically, in our state, in our emotions, in our mood. And we did a little bit of work around how you might make change for yourself a little easier and bring that change in a way that it's going to be in line with your values, that it's going to be in line with what matters most to you and your motivational drivers. So what we're going to do today is we're focusing on the idea of, once you've accepted the change, and of course the first step of anything, no matter what it is to refocus, right? We talk often about focus drives your behavior, and behavior creates your results. So the mistake that many people make is that when they want different results, they change their behavior. But it doesn't matter how many different diets you go on, or how many different exercise programs you go on, or how many, different ways you try to communicate with your peer at work or whatever. If your focus never changes, if you're focused on the same thing, I would just about guarantee your results are unlikely to change. If you don't want the results you're getting, so if you look around your life, in any area of your life, and you say, I'm getting a result here that isn't working for me, that I want a different result, rather than skip the behavior, that's not the important part. The important part is to ask yourself the question, what am I focused on? And simply by asking yourself that question, and that's in the micro moment or in the macro moment. So like, I didn't get the results I wanted from my, child or pet or whatever, or myself. What was I focused on in that moment as I did it? Or generally speaking, like, my life is just kind of not the way that I expected my life to be at this point, right? Like, many of us have a birthday coming up. We both do in a few days.
Many of us.
And you get to those moments of life when you look around you and you say, you know what, there's some stuff in my life that isn't what I want for myself. And so at that level, you would say, okay, here's the result that I have that I want to change. Now, what, on a big macro level, what has my focus been? So now we're not talking about a moment. We're sort of talking about this chunked up, like over the last few years, or since I had my kids, or since, whatever. what has my major focus been? And take a look there. And again, if you want to create change in your life, this is where you affect change. Because when you change your focus, so say you're not successful with like a weight loss or something. If your focus has been, I hate this body, I want to feel better, whatever it is, change your focus to something that is, just try it out. There's no harm in trying a different focus. So what if I woke up today and I said to myself, I'm going to nourish this body like I am, like a superhero. I'm going to treat this body in a way that allows me to like grow wings and fly if I want to. And then, just by default of that thought, I guarantee you're going to have a different behavior, right? So it may not be that you go to like a different gym, but what may happen is that like when I'm downstairs and I'm about to ask one of my kids to run up to the bedroom to get me something, instead I say to myself, wait a minute, I've got a body. I'm going to treat this body like it's on fire, so I'm going to get off my ass.
And I'm superhero body.
I'm going to go get that thing, right? Or I'm going to park further away, or I'm going to walk to the mailbox instead of right? Like it could be these tiny changes that are going to change your behavior. Now that's going to create different results. And of course it applies to the macro level.
Sorry, I jump in here. Diet is such an interesting one to talk about because it's so obvious, the diet and exercise. We have that New Year's resolution thing. Inevitably, 95, 98, 99% of people who embark on a weight loss New Year's resolution will try and change their behavior. They'll eat differently. They'll go to a gym. They'll do things they never did before, expecting different results. And 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks later, they quit doing it because their focus, where their brain is, they didn't change it. They changed their activity without changing what they were focused on. And when you look at your results, there is no failure. Results are only feedback. The results you get are, in fact, feedback on what you are focused on. If Tara ask yourself what you're focused on. If you get nothing coming up in your head about what you're focused in, look at your results.
Yeah.
That would be clearly indicative of what you're focused on.
That's so important to know. If you can't identify what you're focused on, the mystery's over, right? That's why you're not getting the results you don't want.
So look at the results.
You can't get what you want unless you're focused on it. Yeah. Well, sometimes you do, but not.
Well, and the cool thing is when you look at your results, good or bad, everything you've accomplished that you've wanted, and you made the decision to do it, you focused on it and you got it, that's affirmation that your focus drives your behavior, creates results. When you get results you don't want, and you realized you were focused on activities, behavior that didn't get you to where you wanted to go, that's also evidence of how powerful you are, that whatever you focus on long enough will drive your behavior and you'll get your results.
When you're focused on how much you dislike your body because of the shape it's in or whatever, chances are your focus has been how much you dislike your body, and if your results are that you're not getting the results you want, guess why, right?
And words are so very, very powerful. So we encourage people not to lose weight, but to become their optimal weight. Nobody wants to lose anything. If you're focused on losing stuff, part of your psyche just says, no way, I ain't losing anything. I'm here to keep everything for you. I'm not here to lose stuff. But if you think about being optimal, so that's a good segue into thinking about where we are today.
Yeah.
Because we're sequestered and we're working from home.
So from this change to 9 to 5, so the first thing is to really accept and embrace the change. The second thing, of course, is to change your focus. And what we're really trying to help move ourselves and our peers and our clients and everything toward is now to actually identify what is that new normal. So the 9 to 5, that is now going to be either more temporarily changed. So for some of you, it may just be another few weeks. For some of you, it has changed, like fundamentally, things are different now, right? There's lots of operations in the world that are just from now on going to be different. Or for some of you, this may have opened up some channels or some possibilities where the change is going to be permanent by your own choice, right? You've decided that you can work from home, or you've decided that you can, whatever it is. And so now the piece of how do we make the 9 to 5 that is new for you now going to be as effective as it possibly can for you.
And I've been using the word vacation. I talk to everybody. I say, hey, how's your COVID vacation going? And Tara said, you shouldn't use that vacation word. Some people are struggling. And I resist that because, is the cup half full or half empty? The Chinese sign for crisis is also the Chinese sign for opportunity. So I go down to our office, it's a couple hundred meters down the road every day, and I joke about being on my COVID vacation because I don't have to do what I normally did in business. I can do newly. Every day is something new. We're moving our practice more online. We're creating new products. We're creating new services. I mentioned earlier, we're spending time in Stephen Covey, quadrant 2 of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. Talking about brain freeze. Just gone. Yeah. So we're really, 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 really excited.
And I would ask, just before we go into
we're so excited that I can't finish my
piece here, just before we go there.
Yeah.
If you could, between now and Thursday, if we could get some feedback from you guys, if you're watching now or watching later, on some of the issues that you foresee as being the struggles for you in this new 9 to 5. And we would love if on Thursday what we're doing is addressing your issues. So if we could, you can email us or just leave it in comments, or you can, I don't know, phone Alan.
Phone Alan.
647
Yeah.
983-8551.
But seriously, you can click on the link and book 30 minutes with me to talk. Yeah,
or just however you can, leave us a note and just mention what you foresee as your biggest challenge, and that'll give us an opportunity to really speak directly to some of your stuff on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're really excited today because Tara's emphasis in her practice is helping people through transitions in life, in having choice and remaining whole. My focus in my practice is helping people overcome trauma. COVID presents an opportunity for transition and potentially for people to be traumatized. And so when I met the next person I'm going to introduce you to, the connection was instantaneous. So we're really, really excited to have AJ Bishop join us from San Diego today. And she's put together a global conference called the New 9 to 5. So AJ, welcome so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun to just watch the two of you together. It's fun to see. I'm sure it's a great time in your house.
It's a great time. AJ, just before you go on, we have a question for Sam. Sam, how do we get AJ onto the Facebook Live feeds? And we'll leave that up to you.
I don't think it's possible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we can do is this is recorded and we'll post it to Facebook after, so they can get all the information from AJ.
So we're gonna just shut down the Facebook ones because they'll just be watching us sitting here.
Leave them.
And you can go to the link after.
I can hear her. Okay. So AJ, go ahead. Tell us about your conference, your new 9 to 5.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. I'm just so absolutely excited that the Global Summit launches tomorrow, and it really is about how to change fear, anxiety, and uncertainty about the future so that you can find joy and fulfillment in both work and life. And I'd say the impetus or the creation of this was, honestly, it was a little selfish in a way. I found myself right after COVID hit just debilitated, right? I was in my pajamas all day. I was Netflixing, I don't own a television, so it was either on my iPhone or my iPad. And I would consider myself one of those people that's super positive. I'm the glass half full. I'm the cheerleader both at work and in my family. And I just was like, okay, I know I'm not alone in this. So of course the first place to look is on the internet. And as I think we all know, there's just so much out there. And the bad news of that is that it's not always the positive. And so I really started thinking about, okay, well, who are influences in my life that have brought me to a place of being able to change? And, I danced with the word of overcome fear versus change fear. And what I've really gotten to over my years of working in the investment industry for about 16 now, as well as I practice yoga, is you don't really quite overcome fear. You can change it, but it's always there. And so I thought, okay, well, what always brings me back to reality and connection, very similar to the activity we started out with, and it's connection. It's really like the conversations we're having right now. And so, I went on this adventure to find people and to find experts in all different walks of life, from psychologists to coaches to athletes to wellness to a quantum physiologist. And I just started having these conversations, and what came out of that was, wow, this could be a resource for others who are experiencing very similar things that are coming up in my mind. And so I started reaching out, and 45, 60 days later, here we are. It launches tomorrow. It's free. It's a global summit with speakers from Canada, Australia, Dubai, the United States, Africa. It's just a fantastic group of individuals who are super genuine and real. And they all have very positive messages to spread in the world from, right, if you're Tara referenced, for example, if you're in a situation where you found that your work, for example, is not quite what you want to do anymore. I have a speaker who's speaking to what's called design thinking. It's a engineering process, which sounds strange, but they use it to help people prototype different ways that they can design work, life, money, etc. And so I've got speakers talking about that. I've got 2 speakers speaking to the idea of joy and what does that mean and how do you create it in your life and how do you create it with others. I've got a woman who's been in the interior design industry for over 15 years. She talks about how your space creates your place, right? Ensuring that what surrounds you is really like a positive influence in your life. And what I love the most about it, as I mentioned, is they're short. They're 30 minutes, maybe 32 or 33 maximum. And you can watch and listen to them from anywhere. And so I'm really excited about how it turned out, and I'm excited to debut it to the world as my first, right, global summit. It was just something that was born out of a fire in me to really connect people to positivity, as well as to look at this as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Like I've gotten really clear on that around how important this time has been. So in my full-time job, right, I manage about 40 people, and I love how you said it's a COVID vacation, because I would say about 10 years ago, I would have probably lost my mind in this time. I would have completely been like, I can't do anything, I can't go anywhere. But through the practices and the techniques that the speakers and the experts, so for example, finding the 2 of you, the mindsets that you're training others to adapt, like it's become, I would say, the most productive time possible. Like I'm on a mission to help people regain their purpose and whatever is possible for them, and to reinvent themselves. And so every day a new interview is released. Like I said, they're about 30 minutes. And the really cool thing about the interviews as well is at the very end, every expert offers a tool, a resource, or some form of an offer or gift to you, so that you can like put it into practice right now. Because it's one thing to talk about it, but it really is something different to put it into place right now. And so that's what this is. It's been a fun creation. It's something to do in my spare time, if you will, but it's been a blast, and I'm so grateful that the 2 of you are a part of it.
So let's, for everybody on all 3 mediums, so we're having some tech challenges getting AJ up on Facebook, but what we're going to do is, this is recorded, so we'll put this session up on Facebook once we're done the recording, and Sam will also put the new 9 to 5 graphic and the 9 to 5 links up on Inspired Outcomes Tara and my Facebook pages, as well as LinkedIn. And for those of you who are on Zoom, Sam will put the link to register in the chat line as well. So really, really interesting in your own transition, AJ. You went from, as you said, hanging out in your yoga pants watching Netflix. And I think Netflix must have experienced one of the biggest booms in Prime TV and all the other mediums. But I think you're right. I think people are really making a transition, and I'm hoping people are doing this, to saying, what can I do in this time frame? What could I do? You know, this is an imposition, but it may be a gift. How many of us have been allowed this kind of freedom, even though we're constrained? There are freedoms in our constraints, to just think. Now, you know, we've got 3 small children at home, so Tara's life has shifted radically from being, you know, a coach, a full-time coach every day, to being a full-time school teacher from 9 to 5. And the first week or 2, and Tara can speak to it directly, but was incredibly challenging, right? And now there seems to be a natural rhythm that's evolving, and the day-to-day life around our house 6 weeks in is radically different. And do you embrace that, and then the fear of, and you talk about fear and anxiety and living with joy both in your personal and your business life. What do we do? Because COVID's going to come to another end, and the doom and gloom people will be in our faces talking about the next pandemic, but some of us will be talking about how do we just make this one of the most prosperous times ever, right? And I'm worried about the time. We looked at a site that was tracking the amount of anxiety drugs, depression drugs, and that sort of thing recently, and they're all up 30 to 40%. So, you know what, your topic is so important because I think people are really, really struggling. It's neat. I'm going to listen to those other speakers with interest and hear about their tools and techniques for managing the stress and anxiety of our times as well. Because Tara and I are adamant there's not just one toolbox. We're hardcore NLP people. We're hardcore hypnosis people. However, we reach outside our Kool-Aid all the time to bring in other technologies, right? Other modalities, because the synergistic effect, sort of the Wim Hof breathing segues perfectly into the work I do with transition, or Tara does with transition, I do with trauma. So if anybody wants to post some questions to AJ in the chat group or up on Facebook, that'd be great. We're sort of at 25 minutes. So AJ, when they log on, is it a specific time of the day to log on to this conference?
No, that's the great news, because I wanted this to be accessible when people are ready to receive.
Yes.
We'll send an email every single day. So the website that you're going to share with everyone, you just drop your email in. Every single day you'll get an email from me, and it'll have a link to the speaker's video, and they'll be available for 72 hours. So
nice.
I'm sure, right, like people are homeschooling, like all those things are going on right now, but the video will be available for up to 72 hours, and every day a new speaker will be released. And so that's the convenient piece.
And you're releasing the speakers at what time?
It should be at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
Oh, beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's nice. That's
So
excellent.
the first one goes out tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern, which is 3 a.m. my time. And no, I will not be up that early. I'm going to actually get it prepared tonight. But
who's up first?
Who is up first? Kurt Steinhorst. He is an expert in attention.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's very similar to what we were talking about today, which I love. It's all about where's your focus, where's your attention, and ensuring that, right, you're putting your attention on what matters and being present.
Excellent. Excellent.
Cool.
That's good. So.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So we'll probably close out this session because the part of the subject that AJ was talking about, we were talking about change management, is there's always a little anxiety with change, right? We're always a little anxious about how it's going to work out. And so we like to use, and we call it the positive future model, but it's also known as the anxiety model. And it simply allows you to access your emotional state 15 minutes after the successful completion of anything that's coming up in your future, and to see how everything worked out perfectly and for you to enjoy that emotional state. And it also allows you to get some clarity about things that you need to think about that you may have slipped out of the way. So now with COVID-19, we're still sequestered, but for a lot of us, especially in Canada and especially in specific provinces, they're talking about lifting the social distancing bans, and there'll be a lot more stores opening and that sort of thing. And so for those of you, life, they're talking about life getting back to normal, and there may be some anxiety what that looks like. For those of us in provinces or in states or in regions where the sequestering is going to go on longer, we may be having anxiety about how we're going to move our life forward, what we'll do in June or July. So I want you guys all to think about, I want you to all think about something, just something that when you think about it in the future, whether it's a day away, a week away, or a month away, you have some anxiety. It causes you to get emotional.
So think about something that you know you must do.
You have to do it.
And right now, it's uncertain for you how it's going to go. So you may feel, for me, anxiety often shows up as a feeling of dread or avoidance. Just something where you're not totally confident about it, and just bring that thing to mind and get really, really specific. So if it's a phone call, if it's an action, like an activity that has to be done that requires a lot of hard work, anything that's a little hard for you to do. So just bring it to mind now. And I would say do something fairly close in time, something, more nearer in your future than further away. And just bring it to mind now and just imagine the successful completion of this event. So remember to stay within your own control, your own power, the things that you have control over. And what you have control over is how you create this situation, how you respond to it, the way you act, and imagine yourself doing it the best that you could possibly do. So no matter how outside things happen, you're going to respond to it in a way that makes you proud of yourself, that makes you feel really, really good about the way you've handled it, about the way that it has successfully been completed to the best of your ability. And now you're going to imagine you could float out beyond that successful completion and go 15 minutes after the successful completion of this event. It's all done. So you're 15 minutes after the successful completion. And notice how you feel. Notice what you see. Notice what you hear. Really experience what it's like 15 minutes after the successful completion of this event. You may feel relief, satisfaction,
accomplishment.
And now just float up above, look down at yourself and really get a good picture of what that looks like. Yourself 15 minutes after the successful completion of this hard thing has gone as well as it could go, and see yourself in that moment. And then just turn and look back toward now, as if you could look back over time from that moment, 15 minutes after the successful completion, all the way back to this moment right now. And you may notice that there is no more sense of anxiety or anything like that. Now there may even be a sense of looking forward to it, anticipating getting to this moment. And then when you're ready, just take a big breath, and as you exhale, just float all the way back to now. All the way back to now. And when you're back, just reorient to here and now. Open your eyes and come back in the room.
That's such a powerful technique, and you can use it for any event. You could use it just on your day. So as part of setting your intention for today, just float out into the future to 15 minutes past the successful completion of today. Your whole to-do list, all the interactions you have to do, and just sit there 15 minutes past the successful completion of today, or a task, or something that's causing you a little bit of anxiety. So I hope you guys use this technique a lot. I hope you use the break state, peripheral vision, and anchoring lots. And we wish you well, and we know you'll all be safe. And we'll see you on Thursday.
See you later.